Good morning, you guys. We are so excited to be here with you again. Andy's off in Guatemala, Steve is in Australia, and so we've got Michelle, Lisa, myself, and Alistair with us. And we've been just talking about seasons and like the Joseph calling, and we wrote some things on the board over there, and just, God is into relationship. He's not always into necessarily fixing things and making it easy for you right away, but just that relationship and knowing your season, being comfortable in that season and enjoying that season. And even if it's hard during that season, God's got his promises at the end. So we wrote up there, Lord, if you weren't done working, then I'm not done waiting. So if you're in this waiting season, just wait it out. Just keep pressing forward and loving the Lord and doing what God has assigned to you in that season and doing it with grace and the right attitude. And like Joseph, when he was in the prison, he had the right attitude during that season. He walked through that faithfully, and look at where it got him. Look at where it got his people. And God's promise did come through. Not right away, but it did come through.
So we were just looking at how you've been made a certain way, like God's designed you a certain way, and when you function out of the way that he's called you to be, you're able to achieve a lot and you feel fulfilled at the same time. So we were looking at the life of Joseph, and so just to track with his life, he was consistent in his calling as an administrator. At the beginning, his dad gave him like groceries to go to give to his brother. That's an administrative function. When he was in Potiphar's house, he was the administrator and he excelled in it. So he was leading the household. When he was in prison, he was an administrator, and he rose to the top and excelled in administration there, making life better for all the prisoners. And then that just got continued through when he was in Pharaoh's house. He was also an administrator for Pharaoh. And so his calling was consistent all the way through, and the seasons kind of went like this. But he remained authentic to the call that God had on his life. And because of that, God's people, they went from being a family to becoming a nation because of Joseph's good administration. Because of Joseph's good administration, this nation that had become slaves were able to inherit their own land. Because Joseph was a good administrator, this people in this land were now able to have the eyes of the world on them to say, the God who presides over this land is the one true God. And because Joseph was a good administrator, the Savior of the world was able to be born in that land, and humanity was able to be rescued. And so whatever your calling is, accomplishments that have been fulfilling for you. So here's how you can discern what that is. Just take a few minutes to reflect, write down 10 times, 10 sentences where like, man, that was an achievement that happened where I felt really fulfilled. Write that down and you'll be able to look and see that, there's a thread there. And so that's the thing, that's the way that you're wired. That's the thing that God's called you to do. And that's the thing that's going to have most impact in the world. And the season comes and goes, but just your role is to stay consistent to your calling. Bless you.
And to piggyback off of what Alistair was saying, when we know that it's a season, you don't get stuck there, where you know that this is just going to be, this is just the way it is. Resign yourself. We were talking about how Joseph, he did not just get into the prison and just resign himself to, I guess those dreams are wrong. I guess I'm just a prisoner now. Here I am. But what struck me was just he learned leadership and used administration in probably one of the hardest environments with the most difficult people that were in Egypt. But he still honed those skills. He still was true to himself, did his calling. So whatever season you find yourself in, not in a striving way, but just in an equipping and being like, okay, Lord, what tools am I getting right now so that whenever I go into the next season that I can be fully prepared and fully ready to embrace. The Bible talks about us going from glory to glory. And so that we don't bring ourselves from glory to glory, but he does. But we get to steward with him and to have a relationship with him and get the tools that we need. So, so knowing your season, but then also knowing it is for a brief period of time and things will shift and change, and that he's there and he's faithful and loves to do it with you and to partner with you and to talk with you, you know, and hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
He does, and it's just been a great time talking this morning. Debbie had started the meeting just talking about, you know, knowing your season and being aware of what's happening to you right now. And we're all at different phases where we're stewarding some testimonies that have happened and going after some of those for ourselves. And it's great just to be able to have a discussion with people. So we want to encourage you to just get some people around you, whether it's people that you can sit around a table with, whether it's somebody you can get on a phone call with, and just talk these things through. It's absolutely amazing what happens when we just get around the table and somebody brings something and then it starts coming out. Josh loves music, and he was talking about how threads of a song meant so much to him. And it's the coolest thing to see how God works with our callings, as Alistair said, to be able to, you know, okay, so the administrative things talk to this person, or the music things talk to this person, or that Michelle was sharing about her kids and some lessons that are happening there and how that comes through. So we want to encourage you to just get together and talk things through. This theme of Joseph this morning and his calling and how to steward it has given us all so much life today, to be able to go, hey, you know what, in the good times, in the times that don't seem so great, that God is faithful. He's absolutely faithful, isn't he? In everything he does, whether we can see it or not, whether we feel it or not. And so there's just a great sense of God's faithfulness, that no matter what is happening, he's on the case.
Yes.
So that's what we want to leave you with this week. God is faithful. He loves you. He knows exactly where you're at, what's happening in your life. And what did your daughter say?
He only has good things for you. So you can relax and just rest in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that phrase from the song that Josh shared this morning, Lord, if you're not done working, then I'm not done waiting. Yeah, seems to be the theme that's coming from this. The verse that Alistair shared from Romans 9, the gifts and call of God are irrevocable. He doesn't take them away. He's not hiding them from us. He's just...
That was Romans 11:29.
Oh, beg your pardon, Romans 11, thank you. And just, you know, that he's working. He's on the case. He loves us. We don't need to strive. We can just trust in his goodness and his faithfulness. So we bless you guys. Have an amazing week.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please like and share this. We love reading your comments. Josh is behind the camera answering and talking to you guys. We love hearing what's going on in your life, because it's not only a discussion here around the table, it's a discussion with you around the world. So talk to each other, let us know what's happening, and let us know stories of God's faithfulness in your life, what it has looked like for you, because we love walking that journey with you. Have an amazing week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.